right, we're back. It's Nimit Taylor joined by Switch, and we got another special guest with us. We have Paris, who was present on the Syndicate and actually captaining during this match for most of the games, I think. We're in game 5, I want to say. So far, it's 3-1 in favor of Syndicate here in the first round of the Winter Series Finals for the year 2016. It's Assassin. And what's the name of the map again? Broken Javelin?
That is correct.
So, yeah, I guess the assassin target is these statues, and Rar has once again left the game because he had some connectivity issues this match.
Insta crashed again, yeah.
So, yeah, we're down to a 6-on-6. GKG going to be captain for Vaalbara. They're going to be in the south here with Limp, Kron, Arsenic, Osmodian, and Kruniak changing accounts. They're going to be squaring off against the Syndicate led by Paris, Kirk, Adrenaline, Evil Jake, Akira, and Demolition. So, yeah, let's look at the trade really quick. But I have a couple questions I want to ask you, Paris, later on. Interestingly, we see a lot of these skeletons here for the Syndicate, not so much for Vaalbara. That's an interesting choice. Well, why so many skeletons, Paris?
Well, I had a feeling they'd kind of get a little pushy, and I like having a little faster units so you'd be able to block or press something that's isolated that might be a little weaker. You can just threaten stuff. I mean, they're pretty cheap on the map. I felt like we could get them in bulk and it would work out to our favor. And yeah, my cousin worked on Chimera, so I was always a fan of that, and that's straight where the Skellies come from.
It's a classic expansion.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's almost.
It looks like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it looks like Vaalbara got more soulless as well.
Yeah, a lot more soulless. I think they maxed out soulless actually. What's the deal with that? I mean, what are they gonna do? They're gonna park it up on these impassable terrain or something? Like, what's the deal with that?
So, if you notice, when we're moving our units here, Kirk is kind of moving towards the east, and I'm also moving east with my souls. And I kind of remember in the back of my head that the west side here, which just got marked on the map, it's so much easier to push and kind of get aggressive over there. And if your opponent's not prepared for that, you'll get thrown off guard. So you'll see that our souls are moving over towards the east right now, but that's because I think that we started south rather than north, and soon enough you'll see me take those units and just start moving them all over because I already know what to expect coming from that direction.
Yeah, it looks like you guys are kind of fainting on the east, since just looking at the numbers here, I think Kron has a slightly more powerful force coming up.
Yeah, we were definitely banking on a much more powerful force hitting us in the west, and also a pretty large mid. We figured there would be some sort of solo player action in the east, so that's why I threw Croc over there. He's an excellent player to match up with anyone.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Kirk coming out of retirement to play this match. Did you? I mean, how did you know he was going to show up? Did you know he was going to show up, or did he just show up? Did you ask him to be there, or make a special request that he show up, or what's the deal?
I wasn't sending him like dates and times to go to the matches at first, and he didn't really know that he was involved in the tournament. He remembered that he like sent a post to Kilgrath, and they kind of laughed about it in the forums, and Kilgrath added him up. Kilgrath is Lizard King, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey man, if you want to show up for the finals, be my guest.
Do me a solid.
He ends up showing up.
So far in the west, a little bit of friendly fire on Evil Jake, and it looks like Syndicate is going to end up backing out of this as the malls are streaming in.
Limp is rushing with Arsenic.
You know, it looks like Paris, you're trying to hold with your Solus, but you're definitely outnumbered. I don't think you're going to win that. Unless Adrenaline's able to get through with that fetch, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do so. But yeah, it looks like Evil Jake is going to be reinforced here a little bit. There's lots of skeletons, so they might...
making some gorgeous plays with those his Warlock and Mortar Dwarf.
Yeah, so far Syndicate's actually coming out ahead here. Looks like somebody lost a fetch.
Yeah, Adrenaline got sniped by Asmodean.
But even with that, it looks like that West Force is going to end up being repelled. And Osmodian and GKG, with their Solus, are going to be relegated to this hill here. Ooh, huge shot from Akira.
Akira.
Yeah, those Solus aren't so great against so many Warlocks.
That West is definitely switching. I thought Vaalbara definitely had the advantage there, but Syndicate's putting the pressure on them.
Yeah, I guess those skeletons come in handy.
We got fortunate in one moment. They lost an HGH and a mortar at the same time, and I think that kind of threw them off. So there's like two pretty key units going down pretty quickly.
Now Herongard was just standing there.
Akira might lose his Warlock here. There he goes.
Yeah, those souls are tough over there, man. They totally ate all my Solus up.
Yep. There wasn't much you could do. I mean, if you tried to move, you would have lost them all. You had to stay where you were and try to do the best you could.
Yeah, just try to absorb hits, try to get them to waste their spear throws while our Warlocks would move around. I mean, the key was I didn't want them to like start throwing down on Adrenaline while he's still mid, you know. Then we'd be completely outpositioned. So we really had to take that back. We were able to with the Warlock pressure.
Yeah, although it looks like you're going to lose a Solus there from Arsenic's Warlock. At this point, it's 64-80%. So, I mean, you guys are up about 16 percentage points, but I mean, that's not insurmountable by any means. There's still plenty remaining.
What you got in the east, right? Like, nothing's happening there. They're just, Kirk is just sitting on this position with, I think it was Kron.
Yeah, they're just looking at each other across the river, you know.
That's passive, you know.
Limp's saying he saw a crazy Merc kill 5 of their own melee. GKB saying he saw that too.
Well, so the West is just about wrapped up here.
Crazy Mercuria, so you know, a little bit of risk involved with those.
Wow, looking at this now, I did not realize they just had nothing there.
What, in the...
In the West, like, there's only just, like, the souls there. I mean, Arsenic and Asmodean are moving over with some artillery now. But,
that's just...
you know, I wonder when that actually dawned on us that they really had nothing over there. Because the whole thing about this map is, like, when you push, you have to plug in all the holes, you know what I mean? So we're kind of moving up slow and making sure nothing's going to slip through to those back statues. And I just didn't realize how big of a difference there was in the units over on this flank when we were actually playing.
Kruniak is going to be in a lot of trouble soon because you guys are going to move onto that hill in the west, and then Syndicate's going to be able to put a pinch on Vaalbara in the mid.
Yeah, Adrenaline might want to think about assuming an aggressive posture here instead of just chilling.
I mean, that's a double-edged sword in this game, man.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you don't want to be too careless.
Yeah, you get a little too aggressive, man, and it can really bite you. And during the first couple of matches against Vaalbara, when we would lose games, we would often lose games because we got too aggressive and we'd lose sight of actually playing the game type or the game and being patient. In this match and the other finals match, I was constantly telling them every game, be patient, be very patient, because all these guys will be way more patient.
What a shot by Limp.
With those souls, right?
Did you see that? Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Sniper.
Just one
But I mean,
volley.
it's a matter of time though until somebody gets a mortar dwarf in there and starts taking them out.
Well,
Looks like
it
Evil
should
Jake is
be
coming up.
already. He should have already been close enough to respond by now. That he has
Limp's
to.
gonna have to hightail it.
No, I think he can. I think he can. He can maybe get him out of there. He just needs to focus him.
Oh my god, those dance moves.
Yeah, I like Evil Jake's dodging,
Yeah, but it's
but
not enough.
he's got a shot. Here we go.
He took one
Oh,
shot,
nice shot.
but I
Half of
mean,
them.
Limp has a pretty good position regardless. That impassable terrain is pretty hard to overcome.
Syndicate's only up by about 12%, or 14%.
Yeah, they're bringing it back over. Now Kruniak's kind of getting a little pushy mid.
Yep.
Yeah, Kron
Right.
is doing double duty. He's coming over to put some pressure on Adrenaline.
So that's gonna open up Croc for the push over here. Looks like Croc actually lost his Warlock.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Right.
Yeah, Kron.
Yeah, they probably exchanged there. Didn't quite. Uh-oh. Yeah, here's the thing: is you guys push through, and there's literally nothing there. So it's assassin, and you're on their assassin time, and now their mid is getting the memo. But I think it's a little late here, as you're taking it down with just one Heron Guard, and that's that.
Way too late. Paris kills that that assassin target.
Yep, there's a couple of more assassin targets in this area. There's 2 more actually. So far you guys have taken 1, so you're in the lead, and you have about almost a 20-point edge at this point. So
Limp is saying that he thinks Syndicate anticipated the rush and traded for
I
a
see that. He's calling us out. He knows it.
Meanwhile, like Kron is still just standing there, facing off with Kirk.
I mean, their mid and their east really had to start moving a long time ago. But the thing is, as soon as they would do that, it would give up like so much ground.
yep.
It kind of goes against the captaining theory of GKG to just give up ground, even though like objectives are certainly.
Oh my gosh, another accidental.
Yeah, GKG kills his own. Oh god. And then Paris gets one of his warlocks. Kruniak is able to kill that journeyman, but he needs to. I mean, he's really exposed now with no melee.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. This rear guard action is actually surprisingly difficult. I mean, I think having the skeleton army does give Syndicate an edge because, you know, a lot of their unit trading points are tied up in these Solus with nothing to guard them.
That said, it's mostly mauls remaining for the Syndicate at this point. So they definitely lost a lot of those skellies.
Yeah, well, the skeletons, you know, are somewhat dispensable. Like what Paris was saying, you know, they're cheap. And actually, Adrenaline's in some trouble. Yeah.
Using the harass.
Yeah, Paris is going to get the last assassin target.
Oh, there it is.
Whew.
Well, there you have it. Syndicate actually had positive ratios there: 55 kills, 52 losses. And actually, it wasn't that uneven. Vaalbara almost matched them in damage. It's pretty close in terms of damage. But having all those extra cheap units, I think, really helped here. What do you think?
Just some extra kills. Definitely helped. Right around the time that they lose the Heron and the Warlock in the west, I remember seeing a couple of the Syndicate skeletons also harassing their other artillery pieces. I think that played a nice anti-push role over there. I mean, the big adjustment over there, it kind of secured the game for us because if they didn't end up pushing there at that time, you know, maybe we wouldn't have caught the adjustment in time.
This was a worst case scenario for Vaalbara when you've got, I mean, look at their units still on the board, right? Like quite a few pretty powerful, like warlocks,
Fetch.
You know, yeah, still got some Solus too, and they're just useless here because the assassin targets are gone, and they're completely surrounded by the Syndicate.
Yeah, I think there. I think I mentioned this in a previous game, but there's something to be said for having extra bodies with which to sort of claim territory on the map. And I think having a few, having your unit trading points concentrated in a low number of high value units is good, but not always. And I think this is a case where it's maybe not that great. I think it's better to have bodies, blocking, just being in the way so that people have to move around them.
Yeah, we saw that in the Venice game. Excuse me, the last one on the Hill Barons, with the Syndicate trading for warriors.
Right.
Value up.
Yeah. So I think that even though it's not reflected in the statistics so much, I think it does have an effect on the outcome of the game in a lot of ways.
Especially in this map, it kind of gives you more options. Because all the other melee on Broken Javelin, it's all like 3 or 4 points. I don't know if the Heron Guard heroes are tradable or not, but it's all like really expensive melee. Whereas on Barons, warriors are like 2 points, and Thrall are only 1. Goals are 2 points. I honestly feel like the goal 2-point value is worth even more on that map, especially because artillery plays such a huge role in Myth 2 compared to melee playing a huge role in TFL. And, oftentimes it just takes 2 shots with an artillery and that that warrior is off the map. It really only is just a bread and butter filler character in pretty much every battle on Barons. Whereas you have a goal, and that thing can pick up pus, that can pick up explosives. It's faster than the warrior. For the 2-point value on Barons, the goal is so much more worth it than the warrior. They're overpriced over there.
But I mean, there's something to be said for being able to tank 2 fireball blasts, and emptying the warlock's mana at the same time, right? So if you have 2 warriors, you can come at from 2 different angles, and you can maybe take him out if he's alone.
Well, that is true. That is true. It's all about, I don't know, positioning and patience in this game, I think.
Well, any other thoughts you guys want to comment on the numbers here? Looks like Evil Jake had a pretty good game. 76 damage.
Yeah, Paris, big numbers. Kirk actually putting out quite a bit of damage, considering that, like we said, he was basically just standing there the whole game until the end.
Yeah, he was all by himself.
Also on Vaalbara, you got Limp, Kruniak, and GKG. Good numbers. We know Limp was doing the really footwork with the Soulless. I was surprised about that. It seemed to me like he didn't know that position was going to be like that. He was going to end up, as Paris said, completely isolated there. So I mean, he was doing relentless damage, but then I think ultimately got wiped out.
I don't know if he got wiped out. Well, yeah, he did. According to this, he had 0 survivors. But I mean, even he still had Soulless when Syndicate crossed the river and went down and took out the statue. So, he was in a okay spot where he was safe relatively, and he can but the thing was all he had was Soulless at that point, and so he couldn't really like zone them out or anything. All he could do was pelt them from the high ground, the impassable terrain where he was. But the thing was, he was limited to that spot. The minute he left that spot, it's over.
Yeah, that counter rush worked out really well for the Syndicate.
Yeah, Syndicate, all they had to do was bypass him, and he had 0 effectiveness after that.
We kind of let him walk up there, and we just kind of backed up a little while we waited for the Warlocks. And the Souls, that was just kind of throwing away. We're just buying us time to really get in position. And if you notice, in those western areas, no matter which side you push, you end up in this little isolated area with only two ways in and out, So all of your units over there kind of get caught off guard, and When they pushed, they got over. They completed their objective, which was to push us in the West, But then after
Yeah.
that, I don't think they were expecting us to push back so
Right.
hard.
Well, they pushed into a bottleneck. You're right. Basically, there's only one way to get out of there, or you can fall back. You can go the way that you came. But who wants to do that? So I think
Well, and
they pushed
yeah,
into a position where you could keep funneling reinforcements pretty
Rather
easily.
quickly. Yeah. Yeah.
as you guys say too, the nature of the map, you only had to win that one battle. In fact, you would only have had to have won one battle on any particular prong, right? Like if you got the mid, that would have done it, or if you had the east as well, that could have done it as well. It's because neither position was able to reinforce the other. Hence why we had Kron just standing there facing Kirk and Adrenaline facing off against I can't recall who it was on his side in the mid.
I think
Yeah,
Kruniak.
it appears like they're doing nothing, but the reality is like without those players in that position, the other team can just walk right over and take your statues. And we had the game advantage here, so I knew if we were able to secure an early one or two statues here, we would have a pretty huge advantage for the rest of the game. I didn't expect to get them so early, but I also didn't expect them to be down such a high percentage. I think it was only 3 or 4 minutes into the game. That's only like 25% of the actual allotted time. So they kind of pushed the issue really quickly against us.
I should add too. You'll note one of the Syndicate statues did get attacked by a Mercuridia, and it looks like Adrenaline was able to block it with a wall. But so they were able to slip something back there. Just wasn't enough.
Yep. If you also notice, did you guys notice the eastern statues for either team do not show up on the overhead map, but the western statues do? And I think the middle
Yeah,
statues
I was
also
wondering
do.
about that. Um,
That bug glitch.
Yeah, seems like it.
it's kind of interesting.
Regardless.
Well, it's something to look into for an aspiring map maker. But yeah, that I think we'll wrap it up there if you guys don't mind, and we'll move into Game 6, the final game for this first round of games between these two finalist teams. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All
Sounds
right.
good, man.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next game.
Have a good one. Oh, I got my phone call in about 10 minutes.